So do you know where your clothes are made? I ask someone right now, find a tag on a piece of your clothing. Tell me where it was made. Made in China? I heard that. All right. Do you know the name of the person who stitched this piece of clothing together? Maybe not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you know where the wool or cotton came from? I see a lot of blank stares out there. So this jacket that I'm wearing, I do know that it was made in Bangladesh because I read the tag on the back of it, and I'm pretty sure that I got this jacket at Kohl's. Is anyone else wearing something that they purchased at Kohl's? I see a hand back there, yeah. Well, it's one of the largest retailers in our community, so that makes sense. So Kohl's is the only way that I know that I'm connected to the maker, producer, and artist of this particular item. And I know that I can do some in-depth research to find out more about the factories that Kohl's works with in Bangladesh, but that's not the purpose of my talk tonight. So I'm going to talk to y'all about being connected to the artist, maker, and producer of different items that we own. We are going to go global. So, for instance, this dress that I'm wearing right here, I do know where it came from. I purchased this dress from an organization called Meta Traders. So Meta Traders works with women in rural areas and city slums in Nepal, and they provide economic opportunities and safe places for these women to work. Also, the print on this dress is a traditional print and a practice that is done by the women in that community to really honor their culture. So this is a beautiful business structure. And I'm going to challenge us to support businesses that do this. And this structure is called the Art of Handmade. Now, I know not all of us can purchase everything we own from businesses like Meta Traders. And I'm not telling you to stop shopping at Kohl's, but I am challenging you to really consider these types of business structures that the Art of Handmade practices for the 21st century, because these structures are really helping 21st century communities around the world, in developing countries, and even our own community. So in the 21st century, we are connected with people around the world in a multitude of ways. Through corporate retailers like I was talking about, technology and social media, and all kinds of other ways, and education. And this is called globalization. But there is a difference between being global and being local with a C. All right, so if we apply the word global here to the statement, the art of handmade, we start to see how there are safe jobs for opportunity for people and opportunities in neglected communities. We also start to see entrepreneurs being lifted up, and we start to see creativity. So at this point, I also think it's important to highlight some of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So the goals that I'm going to highlight today are gender equality, quality education, decent work and economic growth, and sustainable cities and communities. So if we start with sustainable cities and communities, we can think about how that is eliminating waste and pollution, things like that. So being responsible to help the environment. Now, when we think about economic growth, this is also a way to help cities with sustainability. And this means that people have opportunities for jobs, and there are jobs present, and decent work goes into that as well. This means that these jobs are actually jobs that people are safe to work in, and they're getting paid fair wages. Quality education means that a community can value education, and people have the access to education. They can get there, they can do education online, but it's valued, and they're not put down for being educated. And then gender equality goes with all of these. This just means that women have the opportunity to receive all of these different advantages in the world. So, how can we in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, strive to reach some of these goals and help? We all have a role in being global citizens. Now, you might be saying, I don't have enough money to travel to another country or a community to help out. Or maybe you're saying something else. Maybe you're saying, oh, I've been on a global mission trip, so I've actually helped. Well, that's wonderful. But I want to challenge you to go even further than this. I want to challenge you to think globally and act locally. So how can you do this? When we think globally and act locally, we actually slow down and we can hear the stories and actually learn about communities. And you can find out how you can have something in common with someone in a completely different culture than you. And you realize that maybe your way of living is not always right, and you can value their traditions and their culture, so you learn from each other. So this is a way that we can really be connected in the world. So there's one business structure that does think globally and act locally, and that is called Fairtrade. So if you've heard of Fairtrade, Fairtrade is a type of item that you can buy that really helps people in developing countries. So Fairtrade ensures that people who are making their items are practicing their traditions, are able to teach us about their culture with some of the art that's being made, but it also means that the workers are working in safe conditions, and they've already been paid an equal wage by the time that we buy these products. So fair trade is one thing to consider to reach this goal. Now, I actually started a business that strives to think globally and act locally. So my business structure is called a social enterprise. This means that we're trying to make a social impact, a positive social impact on the world around us. And we do global work and we do local work. So that means it's local as well. So my business is called Wildflower Enterprises. Now, my sister and I started the name Wildflower a long time ago, but we realized that there are wildflowers all over the world, growing in city streets, country fields, standing strong in the rain, wind, and sunny days. So wildflowers are everywhere, and they're growing strong. So that's why we are Wildflower Enterprises. Now, like I said, we do some global work and local work, and we do this through storytelling and design. So since we use storytelling, I'm going to tell you one story about our global work, and I'm going to tell you one story about something that we do locally here in Pennsylvania. So globally, it actually all started here in Lycoming County. I had the opportunity to attend a mission trip that was heading to the Bahamas. And during this time in my life, I already knew I was searching for Wildflower's global goals. I was in graduate school practicing and studying research on healthy cross-cultural relationships, and I was studying fair trade and globalization. So when I went to the Bahamas, I had the opportunity to meet a wonderful artist, and I realized that relationships were vital in our conversations. She began to tell me about the work that she does. She makes jewelry from coconut shells and sand, from just what's around her. And that's beautiful. We were driving down the country roads in the Bahamas together in her car, and she was telling me about her power and her visions behind her products and how she does this for her community. And this is her income to actually help empower women in her community. Now, we realized our visions really aligned, and that was pretty amazing. So now I'm in a relationship stage with her, and I'm constantly talking with her, and we're building a beautiful relationship through Wildflower Enterprises. So I sell some of her jewelry here in the United States to provide income for her to continue to do this work in the Bahamas. I've also been able to connect with another artist in the Bahamas who does graphic design work. And through the awesome technology that we have in the 21st century, I can talk with this woman through the WhatsApp app that actually lets you talk with people internationally for free, Facebook Messenger, and things like that. And she actually started her business to empower her own children. She told her children that when she started, one thing that she strives to do and wants to teach them is to not give up. So I realized that Wildflower's global goals was actually to empower and lift up entrepreneurs. So that's why globally we lift up entrepreneurs right now. We're doing that in the Bahamas. Locally, we do something a little bit different. So locally, we still use art and we use things that are just around us in the world, but I have more of a support group kind of system. So I'm working with a local rural community here in Pennsylvania, and I have a group of women who are helping me do this, and they are really awesome. So we are a diverse group of women, but we are intentionally opening our space up to those who are overcoming different traumas. So someone can come into our group and they can paint a piece of furniture or just talk and gather with us, and any art item that they make is sold with my business, and they will get the money for that item, and they can also tell any type of story that they want to tell with that as well. So I have a young woman in my group who painted a beautiful wooden stool. So the stool was painted light blue and dark blue, and she did light coming from darkness. So this stool was actually sold to Williamsport Area Middle School's Positivity Club, which was really awesome. So together, a group of us from Wildflower went to the Positivity Club, and we talked about being friends with people who are different than oneself and just really being there to listen to people's stories. So together, Wildflower Enterprises and the Positivity Club right now are empowering people across generations in this community. And so overall, Wildflower Enterprises really wants to connect women in rural communities around the world, but we aim to have healthy relationships across borders. So we are thinking globally and acting locally in a multitude of ways, and we're really seeing how we can be connected with people from a different culture than us. So in the 21st century, diversity and inclusion are hot topics, and there are many ways that we can strive to be diverse and include lots of people. Now, when we do think globally and act locally, and we support businesses that are fair trade, we're actually seeing how culture, traditions, and talents of people are honored all over the world. And this is true diversity. So how can you in Williamsport, Pennsylvania actually do this? Well, it's actually supporting artists who are telling the full story and supporting businesses that are telling full stories about where the work came from. Now, my experience in graduate school and experience working with small and local businesses has taught me the importance of sustainable social enterprises and how they can connect people in creative ways around the world. And it's really amazing when you do this. So, on behalf of all of my visions to connect all of the wildflowers around the world in creative ways, let's use all of our senses to recognize humanity in everything that is around us, and then we can be truly connected with love. Thank you.